I'm confirming.
Okay.
No, I see our board director Rwabwogo. I think given that he's on the call, maybe take us through the program. Then I'll invite our board director to say a few words before I give also my remarks. Adrian, over to you.
Take a program. Okay, let Patrick share the program so we can start our meeting.
Can you take us through the program, Adrian?
Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to launch our visual through the EABC Policy Advocacy Agenda. And according to our program, actually we are starting with the welcome and introduction to the meeting. After that, we'll have a welcome remarks from the Executive Director of EABC, John Bosco Kalisa. Then from there, we'll have the remarks from Mr. Simon Kaheru, the Executive, the EABC Vice Chair from Uganda chapter, and the Chair of Policy and Advocacy Committee. From there, we'll have a very brief highlight of the Policy Advocacy Agenda, where we are going to highlight some of the issues we are going to advocate from July this year to June next year. After that, we'll have the actual launching. Then we will have a closing remarks from Executive Director. So, Executive Director, Mr. John Kalisa, welcome for the...
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Adrian. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, our board directors present. Good morning, our partners, the development partners. I want, first of all, to congratulate and really appreciate our national focal points who have provided inputs, substantial input to this EABC Policy Advocacy Agenda 2023-2024. Allow me also appreciate and commend our partner EAC Secretariat, the team that have been working on technical working group. Appreciate our donors, GIZ, Trademark Africa, and sorry. Good morning once again. Let me start off by appreciating our board director present. I also appreciate our partners, EAC Secretariat, our development partners, GIZ, Trademark Africa, our elite member, Coca-Cola, BAT. We also appreciate our members from DRC who have been very, very instrumental in supporting our activities. But above all, I want to appreciate and support the inputs we garnered from our national focal points who have really provided a substantial input to enrich this policy advocacy. So the policy advocacy has identified key priority areas that are very critical in terms of enhancing our intra-regional trade, but also boosting or building the recovery agenda. We looked at the number of areas that are very critical. We looked at the implementation of customs union. We looked at the issues of rules of origin. We looked at our engagement as a ESC in terms of the CFTA. We looked at the standards harmonization and SPS measures. We also looked at how we could fast track the Trade Remedies Committee to resolve the emerging trade-related disputes. So it's a very ambitious agenda, but with committed and dedicated partners, we believe that once we implement it, it is going to spur intra-regional trade, but also deliver shared prosperity in the EAC. Let me state that we've been looking back and looking at the effects of COVID, climate change, and the economy really has demonstrated a high level of resilience. The resilience anchored on our engagement, close engagement between government and the private sector. So with that, we see the growth numbers really very impressive. Currently, I was looking at the numbers, the projected numbers in terms of GDP growth. The EAC region, the numbers are very impressive. We are above the Africa average. And again, thanks to our private sector, thanks to our leaders, thanks to our development partners, because this is a concerted, a coordinated, and a coherent efforts by all the partners to ensure that we are building back better. We are recovering back better from the external shocks. So as we move forward, again, as we are launching this agenda, we will continue to look at those areas, those quick wins that are very important to enhance our trade environment and also attract more investment in the EAC. So again, I want to end my welcoming remarks by thanking all our partners, our members, our national focal points present, and also our partners from across the region. So I want to thank you and really appreciate everyone for your support. Over to you, Adrian.
Okay, thank you, Edie. I think now it is high time if Mr. Stewart or Kaheru is in, can make a remarks official opening.
I was trying to reach out to Stewart. I don't know if we managed to connect, but just if it's not net enable, I can request maybe Rwabwogo to say a few words. Our board director Rwabwogo, are you connected?
Yes, I'm connected, Sio.
Yeah, just a few words from your side on our program.
Okay. Morning, everybody, once again, and thanks, CEO, for this giving me this gesture. All protocol observed in the interest of time. The matter that is before us is the most important matter, and is actually the main objective for the East African Business Council against all other issues that you're looking at the Secretariat. Advocacy needs not to be explained now. Right from inception in 1997 to date, that's the work we've been doing. And I think the step the Secretariat has taken this time to make sure that they launch the policy program on how they are going to run, on what they are going to tackle against what will appear, because along the way NTBs come in and then you have to leave the mainstream planning and attend to that. I think this is the way to go. And therefore, you have all the support as the Uganda National focal point. All other, in your opening remarks, especially when you touched on the Trade Remedies Committee, that is very important. We look at the recent budget and the disparity that is there against having done a lot of work to bring in the fourth band. A lot of application of states are again up, and we're not acting regionally. Instead, we are acting nationally. So we better look into all that, CEO. With all that, I hope that we get a good deliberation and we see this report launched. Thank you so much, CEO.
Thank you very much, our board director, and really thanks for raising the issue of the state of application, emerging state of application. That has been one of the challenges that impede our intra-regional trade, because they contain some level of protectionism. And really under this advocacy is one of the key areas that we need to work on and look at the impact. So I really want to appreciate your words of wisdom and encouragement. I can see, allow me to recognize Pavin. Pavin is the program manager from Trademark. She has joined us and has been very, very instrumental in supporting our work. And also recognize Lamek from GIZ and Max. Recognize the Honorable Francoise Uwumukiza. She's the chair of Agriculture Committee in EALA, and other distinguished guests present. So with that, allow me to invite Adrian to take us through the agenda briefly on the key components and the key areas before we officially launch this agenda. Over to you, Adrian.
Okay, thank you, Edie. Actually, I'm going to present to you very briefly the key issue in our EABC Policy Advocacy Agenda. And for us, actually, because we received the comments and input from the Apex Association across all the EAC Partner States, as well as Manufacturer Association, we decided actually to categorize our issues based on the EAC integration process, starting with the customs union, then common market, but another area actually which we look the EAC engagement with third parties, where the EAC is trying to integrating with the rest of the world. And the last main category was on the small media enterprises, women in business, and youth entrepreneur. So starting with the customs union, we had around 6 issues which we need the policy maker in the EAC to try to address those issues. And once addressed, we think that we'll have a leeway in terms of private sector taking the advantage of the EAC integration process. And the first one from the Customs Union Protocol is the uniform and fully implementation of the EAC Common External Tariff 2022 version. As you remember, in July, we started in July last year, we started implementing the new EAC Common External Tariff when we move from the 3-band to 4-band. But some of the challenges you find that some of the EAC partner states have continued to apply stay of application on the product, which actually we agree to move from the 3rd band to 4th band, which they are supposed to attract the certified tariff. And also we have some EAC partner states which are continue to apply country-specific duty remission for various input or product, which I think we had agreed that either we use the regional duty remission or we apply the EAC CET. This actually has attracted a lot of NTBs, because once you apply country-specific duty remission, your final products cannot enjoy preferential tariff treatment. But also it creates a level play field in the region where we are trying to advocate for a single destination for investment, and also discourage regional value addition as well as intra-EAC trade. But also we have found that both private and public stakeholders are not very much conversant with the new EAC common external tariff. So what we are actually proposing, recommending, is for the EAC partner state to do away with the stay of application and uniformly apply the new EAC common external tariff, because we are wondering if we are still, we can say we have a common external tariff while each country actually apply different rate to different product. But also we are urging the EAC Secretariat and even the private sector to sensitize both the private sector and public sector on the EAC common external tariff, as well as also to do some survey to look the impact of the new EAC common external tariff to private sector, to issue like employment, and if the new tariff has spurred the trade as well as regional value addition. Another area is on the harmonization of customs and domestic taxes. And here we find that some of the challenge you find in the custom, still partner states have not harmonized the various import duties which are actually considered as charges of equivalent effect. Issue like infrastructure levy or rural development levy, you find each country has a different rate, but also imported declaration fees, each country has a different. So when you are importing product, you find you are charging differently, and it brings challenge in the customs. But also the domestic taxes, which we are talking of excise tax, value added tax, and income tax, still we have not harmonized it, and this brings a lot of challenge in terms of the optimal allocation of resources, as well as encouragement of illicit trade, because we have different taxes in the EAC. So we are recommending first, all originating goods should not be subject to any other charges of equivalent effect once transferred from one partner state to another. But also we need to eliminate all discriminatory domestic taxes on the EAC originating goods because of the principle of national treatment. But also the partner state should harmonize all charges of equivalent effect levied on goods imported into EAC custom territory. Another area is on the non-tariff barriers, where actually the biggest challenge has been recurring and persistence of ATB, which mostly arising from the protectionist measures, where we have product which they are competing, especially in the agricultural sector. But also you find that EAC originated goods continue to face persistent NTBs, and the existing mechanism of resolving NTBs from the private sector view, they consider them to be costly and time consuming because of the bilateral and the bilateral engagement, as well as the regional mechanism. And our recommendation is actually to is for the EAC head of state to give directive on the elimination of all outstanding NTB and actually urge partner state to stop imposing new non-tariff barriers. But also we are urging or requesting the EAC head of state to set timeline for finalizing the amendment of the EAC Elimination of NTB Act 2016, as well as the regulation, so the act can come into force. Another area is regarding the Committee on Trade Remedies. This committee is supposed to be there when we started implementing the Customs Union Protocol, but it came to realization that the forming of the committee actually was only for the 3 countries, the founder of EAC. So they came in up for Rwanda and Burundi, as well as the other country we are not catered. So we are pushing, or we are advocating for the partner state to finalize the adoption of the amendment so that the committee can come into force and deal with the issue of the trade dispute which are related to rule of origin, anti-dumping measure, safeguard measures, and the dispute settlement mechanism. And recommendation is also for head of state to give the timeline for the ratification of the amendment of the Customs Union Protocol to allow the committee to be formed and start the operation. Another area under Customs Union is regarding to the review of the EAC Rule of Origin 2015. Actually, we have the, under EAC, there is a directive from the Council of Ministers that once we finalize the comprehensive review of our common external tariff, we are supposed actually also to review the EAC Rule of Origin to take into consideration the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Rule of Origin, as well as tripartite Free Trade Area of Rule of Origin, and even the new progress which has been made or from 2015 to maybe 2023. So our recommendation is for partner state and EAC Secretariat to expedite the process of the reviewing the EAC Rule of Origin. And also during the review, we should consider those sectors or products which actually cannot enjoy preferential tariff treatment. On the common market, we have issue on the liberalization of trading services, and one of the biggest challenges has been the delay of the implementation of the revise of the schedule of commitment on the progressive liberalization of the 7 agreed service sectors, where partner states actually have reviewed the commitment and they have come up with more than 78 subsector in the service sector. But the challenge has been that actually the revise has not come into force since it was adopted by the Sectoral Council of Trade, Industry, Finance and Investment in 2019. So for us, actually, we'd like to see the new or the revised schedule of commitment come into force and start to be implemented. Why? Because that one actually will demonstrate the meaningful commercial liberalization of the 7 agreed sector, and also will give a way for the linking of service supplier, which is mode 4, from the movement of workers. And also we are urging to EAC partner state actually to start negotiating the 5 service sector which have not been covered under current liberalization of services. And these sectors are construction and related services, environmental services, health and social services, recreational, cultural, and sporting services. Those 5 sectors actually also they're supposed to enjoy the opportunities or advantage which are provided by common market. Another sector under common market is a telecommunication. Currently, there is a high cost of telecommunication, and we think that these challenges can be minimized by Rwanda, by Tanzania and Burundi join one network area, where actually you find the other country which are implementing the one network area, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. You find that because of the removal of the roaming charges, the communication is somehow cheaper compared with that other countries. So we are urging Tanzania and Burundi to join one network area so that we can lower the cost of voice and data across the EAC region. We have also air transport services, and the biggest challenge you find that the transport services, air transport services, are actually unliberalized, and because of the restriction which are currently available under bilateral air transport agreements. But also the air transport in EAC is still very expensive when you compare with the international standard. And our recommendation actually is for the EAC partner state to finalize the EAC liberalization of air service regulation, so that once regulation come into force, the partner state can actually grant each other freedom 1 up to 5th freedom. That will actually liberalize the transport services and make it cheaper for the passenger and cargo around the EAC. But also we are pushing for all partner states to adopt single Africa air transport market. Currently, it's only Kenya and Rwanda which actually have adopted these initiatives. On the free movement of worker, we are still facing challenge on the unharmonized work permit regime across the EAC partner state. Across the EAC partner state. And we think that because of that challenge, it is high time for the EAC partner state to make sure that they, first of all, we think that the EAC partner state should harmonize the work permit regime, and starting maybe by abolition of the work permit fee, because currently you find it is only Rwanda and Kenya which has removed the work permit fee, but also Uganda has removed, but on the reciprocity approach. And also another recommendation is for the EAC actually to review the schedule on the free movement of workers, because we find that the schedule is too old, because it started to be implemented since 2020. And we think it is high time for the partner state to come up with a schedule which is more liberal, given the progress the EAC partner state have made for the last 13 years of the implementation of the common market. On the integrating with the third parties, actually, we are looking the engagement of the EAC with third parties in the area of trade and investment agreement. Here we are talking, for example, the economic partnership agreement with the European Union. We are talking where maybe EAC partner state can engage with the other bigger trading blocs or countries such as the US and China. But what the biggest challenge has been the perceived fear that the agreement between the EAC partner state and developed country may create trade diversion, hamper industrialization in the region, as well as impede EAC and Africa integration. But also, since trade agreements are based on the reciprocal arrangement, there is also fear that large economies may forfeit the general system of preference they are already offering to EAC partner state. But also we have another challenge of the dual status for EAC partner state, whereby some of the EAC partner state are categorized as a least developed country, while others are non-LDCs. And this brings a lot of challenges where when we are negotiating those, for example, which are not non-LDC, they think the other country, because they can access the bigger market using different preferential agreement, they will be left out. That's why you see some country actually go separately and sign those agreements. But we are recommending partner states should be encouraged to collectively negotiate those agreements with the third party and also maybe sign as a block. But also the EAC partner state should develop concrete policy instrument to guide negotiation with the third party that are those are large economies or developed countries. And where, for example, the EAC partner state decided to go separately, they should make sure that the agreement they are going to assign, they are not going to jeopardize or they are in line with the EAC treaty and customs union protocol. Another area is the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And we think what we are pushing here is for partner state to sensitize both of the private sector and public sector in terms of implementation of the agreement, and also actually enable the private sector to take advantage of the opportunities which actually are presented by Africa Continental Free Trade Area. But also, we are pushing for the partner state to review regional and national institutional, legal, and regulatory framework to facilitate the smooth implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area instrument. But also, actually, we are pushing for the South Sudan actually to sign and ratify the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement so they can be part of this agreement. Another area is implementation of the COMESA EAC SADC tripartite free trade area. Most of the private sector actually, they think they trade more with COMESA and SADC rather than the rest of the Africa continent countries. And they think there is need to expedite the ratification of the agreement, where, for example, Tanzania has not ratified, but also South Sudan has not signed and not ratified the agreement. So we are urging Tanzania to sign as well, to ratify the agreement, as well as South Sudan to sign and ratify the agreement so we can get the good number for the agreement to come into force. But also we have seen the tripartite free trade area do not have the permanent secretariat to coordinate the activities. That's why we see a slow pace in terms of the ratification of this agreement. Finally, on the recommendation on this particular area, EABC and the EAC private sector, actually they're urging EAC partner state to finalize the exchange of offers between the EAC partner state with the other tripartite country, where, for example, Tanzania and Egypt, they're supposed to negotiate and finalize their concession. But also the other EAC partner state, which are member of COMESA, we are talking of Rwanda, we are talking of Uganda, Kenya, and Burundi, to exchange offer with SACU, because Tanzania and SADC has already liberalized in that particular area. The last one is on the SME, youth entrepreneurs and women in business. And you find some of the challenges SME are facing is a cumbersome tax administration and access to finance. But also there is a high cost of compliance to various regulatory framework for SME in the region. But also very important is where you find that we have an harmonized legal, regulatory and policy framework for SME across the EAC region. So some of the recommendation in this particular area is for partner state actually to coordinate, harmonize, and align their policy, as well as legal and institutional framework for SME across the EAC region. But also partner state should review the EAC SME charter to incorporate new development which actually has happened in the region. I think I beg to submit the highlight of our policy agenda. Back to you, ED.
Thank you very much, Adrian. I think that gives us a flavor of what contains in the policy advocacy. So I thought maybe we give a few minutes for people to give their observation, just few comments before we do official launch. Any burning question or clarification, just to from the participants and our stakeholders. I open the floor for any observation. Honorable Francoise, over to you.
Can you hear me, please?
Honorable, can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I really appreciate the presentation because this is very important for the community. Maybe I would like to comment a little bit on the relevant and very important inputs you submitted under this EABC Policy Advocacy Agenda to be launched, that it's very, very relevant, and the components of this advocacy agenda are relevant even for us lawmakers. I'd like to talk on the component of NTBs. NTBs, it's true that NTBs have become challenges to the community, and as you were put, they are recurrent NTBs. And I'd like to talk on as far as the agriculture sector is concerned, because this competition that was observed in the partner states, it's a big problem because we can't feed the community. If we are looking at just competition within countries, we are to improve intra-regional trade. We are also to make sure countries are open up to the AFCFTA and also this tripartite you have been talking about. So it is very important that countries, stop to think of internal competition, but thinking of EAC as one region, even the borderless, will make this community to move forward and to also make sure we reach our goal of customs union, common market protocol, because we can't have the African Continental Free Trade Area without strengthening, first and foremost, our customs union and also the market we have to improve on intra-trade area. So it's very important that we consider products, and we also, as you do the policy advocacy, you take advantage to improve the value chain, you add on value addition in this community. I thank you very much, and I think with strengthening agricultural productivity, we will also open up food insecurity that is being observed in this community, like stunting, a stage for other children under 5 years of age, and even in adults, we are having malnutrition, and we are to end hunger within 2 years ahead as a community. So we don't have much time. I would like EABC to put an emphasis on this as far as agriculture is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think those are very substantial inputs and insight, and really we always appreciate your wisdom, your inputs in terms of the NTBs, and indeed the way we look at this agenda. It's not an EABC; it is a consultative engagement and a concerted efforts in addressing NTBs, because they do largely impact our intra-regional trade. So really we appreciate you, and I also appreciate your support in terms of food security elements, agriculture, how we can really reinvigorate our agriculture sector by eliminating those NTBs that impede the movement of agriculture produce within the region. Adrian, I saw a comment on the chat box saying that what are the implications of EU, Kenya, EU, UK, Kenya, EU, Kenya bilateral agreement, and even Kenya, UK. These are bilateral agreements. If you could just shed more lights, if they don't have an impact in implementation of our customs union and common market. Just a few clarification on what are these bilateral agreements entail, if they may have an impact. Adrian, I see also Pavin raised an issue. Those who can read the chat, Patrick, there is an issue raised by Pavin. Frank, please mute yourself. Frank, mute yourself.
Okay, Edie, maybe I should give some clarity on the EU Economic Partnership Agreement between EU and Kenya. I think there is a head of state summit directives where they agree that for those partner states which they want to continue and sign the agreement and implement the economic partnership agreement with the European Union, they can go ahead and implement that based on the principle of the variable geometry. And I think this is agreeable when all the partner states have agreed in that particular area. In terms of the implication, I think currently we can see the implication because Kenya is not expected to start liberalizing with Africa, with the European Union for those products which are coming from the European Union. It is until when the Kenya started actually implementing or liberalizing with the European Union, maybe we can have some challenges because those goods which will be imported from European Union to Kenya market will have a different import duty with those countries, with the other country which are importing using the EAC common external tariff. So maybe what we are urging is for the other EAC partner state to have a negotiation with the European Union and ensure that those challenges maybe which they think are resolved, and then they can have the agreement to make sure that we actually consolidate our customs union. Actually enter the custom territory using a different import duties. Currently regarding the economic partnership between European Union and Kenya in that particular area. But also I think EAC Partner State through the EAC Secretariat have conducted a study where they are looking the implication of UK, Kenya economic partnership agreement. And also there is a legal opinion under this particular area on the customs custom union protocol on how the EAC partner state, if they wanted to negotiate separately, what they are supposed actually to do in order to make sure that the custom union protocol is not violated, but also they treat the aspiration of the EAC region is not actually violated when the country is signing agreement with a third party as a separate country. There is someone who was actually asking about the achievement of the previous agenda. We have number of the achievement. For example, we are talking of the previous agenda where we were pushing for the EAC to review the common external tariff, and that was reviewed and finalized last year in July. And this actually was big achievement because that is what the private sector from across the EAC partner state wanted to have a new common external tariff, which actually take consideration their level of industrialization in the region. But also we have a number of achievement in terms of the liberalization of trading services, where you find that partner state actually they have come up with the revised shade of the commitment, where they have liberalized further the 7 sectors. And when you calculate the subsector by each country, is more than 78 subsectors. Maybe the challenge here is that the new commitment has not come into force. But within that area also, you find that the EAC has come up with a mechanism on how to remove restriction in trading services. But also for private sector, the joining of the Democratic Republic of Congo is another achievement for the private sector, because we see DRC as enlargement of the EAC in terms of the market, but also in terms of the bargaining power when we are negotiating with the third party as a bloc. But also we are pushing for ratification of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area by all the EAC partner states, and we have seen the 5 without including DRC actually signed and ratified the agreement, and even they have finalized the tariff concession on the category A. And you can see the EAC partner state have already started trading under Africa Continental Free Trade Area GTI initiatives, where we see Rwanda exporting some of the product to Ghana. The same apply to Kenya, but also we have seen recently Tanzania also exporting to Algeria. And so currently we are pushing for other EAC partner state to start trading under Africa Continental Free Trade Area, not necessary to be included in the GTA. Still, they can still export or import under Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So actually we have some achievement, but also we have some issue which we needed to continue pushing. And when you look at our agenda, actually, we had to put those issues which we think they are cross-cutting, and each country from the private sector view as they are important and they are regional issue, not the national issue. Back to you, Edie.
Yeah, thank you, Adrian. And I think the point raised by Pavin always the point in terms of achievement, and I think there are numerous achievements that we have recorded. We have recorded, and this is very well illustrated or articulated based on the growth of intra-regional trade. Pavin, if you look at the last year, our intra-regional trade was around 18%, but now intra-regional trade, as per current statistics, is 24%. So within a span year to even having 2% growth is very sufficient, and that is due to our public-private dialogue and the advocacy work we do. It may be hard sometimes to quantify, but we've been looking at a positive impact by our advocacy on a force band structure. Companies are now really taking advantage of a wider market. They're able to produce for the region. We've tried even to safeguard regional products in terms of counterfeits, in terms of illicit trade. So all these, in aggregate terms, there is a positive stride through our engagement, through our advocacy. As highlighted by Adrian, if you look even at the CFTA, the reason why EAC, 3 countries, almost now 4 countries out of 8 were selected, it's because it is attributed largely for our engagement in terms of raising awareness for the private sector. 300 companies manufacturing are already prepared to trade under CFTA. Some have started trading, others are already prepared. Next week, we'll be having a training on rules of origin with World Customs Organization. No any other region has ever done that. So there is a lot we've achieved just with the previous advocacy agenda. In addition, our trade in service barometer was adopted by the Council of Ministers. Key components out of our trade in service barometer and trade in goods barometer were taken by the Council of Ministers. So there's a lot I think we need to share in terms of what we have delivered as an organization, but also through our national focal points, because we don't do it alone as an organization. We do it through consultative and consistent engagement with our national focal point. And when you look at, last week I was in Uganda, when you look at the budget, the Uganda budget, almost 78% of the private sector inputs to the budget were adopted. This was also through our engagement. These are the issues that impact the business. And again, through PPD, we've seen a lot of issues being resolved. Current look at Rwanda-Uganda trade. It has grown exponentially. The trade has almost tripled. So there's a lot that we can really showcase in terms of the results we've achieved. And again, we appreciate all our partners, our national focal points, our development partners. We can continue to maybe showcase some of those highlights in terms of results, but they are numerous. They are enormous results we've achieved with the previous advocacy agenda. So with that, I think allow me, I don't see any other question or comment. I think allow me to invite our board director, Rwabwogo, Honorable Uwumukiza, if you can put on your camera, then we officially launch this EABC Policy Advocacy Agenda. Patrick.
I think the camera has been disabled from the moderator.
Oh, please, Gift, can you Can you enable the cameras so that we launch this advocacy agenda? Patrick?
Just a minute, TD.
Now.
Honorable, unmute yourself. Board Director Rwabwogo.
Yes.
Yeah, I've put it on.
Okay, the camera. The camera. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, very good. Patrick, are you able to capture?
Yes, we are capturing.
Okay, we are taking photo. I think red, it's already red. And we can declare our advocacy is launched.
Yeah. I can't see myself.
I think if we officially launch our advocacy agenda, and again, allow me to record my appreciation to all our stakeholders, all the participants, and also all our national focal points, the board directors of EABC present, the development partners, and all those we work closely with each other, EAC Secretariat, EALA, East African Court of Justice, and there are other partners who've been really very supportive in terms of developing this agenda. So with that, I want really to officially launch the agenda, and I really appreciate you and thank you for your continued support. Myself and the team are going to share, circulate the copy. For those who have not received the copy, Adrian, make sure that, and Patrick, all the participants have received the copy. So we really want to wish you a very, very good afternoon, and I want to thank everyone for the support. Asanteni sana, thanks, Board Director Rwabwogo.
Asante sana, CEO. I think it was a very nice deliberation and within time. And Honorable made very good remarks. And whatever was asked was very relevant. This is the only way to go. And advocacy is our thing. And even those areas of protectionism, like Adrian said, they need to be taken to the EAC Secretariat and then made clear to the summit. Because if they said this integration is private sector led and you want to kill private sector to integrate and do intertrade, then the whole thing will crumble at the end of the day. Thank you so much, CEO. Thank you for your deliberation.
Thank you. Appreciate. Indeed, you've been very instrumental. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for your support.